Hi everyone, welcome to another vlog for my YouTube channel Data Science with Sam. This vlog marked the beginning of a new series on generative AI, a term that was coined a lot of time in recent months. Have you heard about the ChatGPT? Who hasn't, right? And everybody started using ChatGPT after it got released back in November 2022. We saw that how we could harness the power of GPT-4, GPT 3.5 and GPT-4 model later to generate some text, documents, summarize long text or paragraphs, and do a lot of text related, NLP related stuff that was never imagined before. We also saw how Google got into this generative AI context and they started locking horn with Microsoft as their new Google Bird platform was just recently publicly released. It's free for testing right now, but you still have to wait in the line in order to get your turn for that. We also saw the company called Midjourney launch their image AI platform, like the generative AI platform that converts your text into an imaginary like art or graphics format. We have seen a lot of new, academia or research scientists have started using the text and the graphics arts coming out of Midjourney AI for their academic research or paper publication. So let's talk about more this generative AI, because this is something more of like a groundbreaking scenario at this moment. But I mean, a lot of times, people think about, okay, we have a new AI tool, but how is this everything started? I mean, what's the main underlying concept of generative AI? So I will talk about that in this particular vlog. So let's start with the general definition of generative AI. So generative AI is a subfield of artificial intelligence that focuses on generating new data rather than analyzing and driving context out of data. Prior to generative AI, we made a breakthrough in neural network. We made a breakthrough in deep learning. However, the output of those AI machines or neural networks are pretty deterministic, right? Because you would provide input and you kind of get specific output out of those neural network or AI models. However, in terms of generative AI, the output format is very unsupervised. It can be anything since it's generating a new art or new text format or template from the model. Okay, so there is no deterministic pattern there. Okay, so that's one of the main differences between generative AI and its predecessor AI models. Now you think about that. Okay, so you mentioned generative AI is kind of like a new thing, but is it a very brand new concept, or is it just something started before but we haven't gotten a chance to utilize it? So the latter concept is actually correct. So this generative AI concept has been around for a long time. So it was first introduced by MIT professor Joseph Weizenbaum in the 1960s when he developed ELIZA. So ELIZA was kind of the first generation chatbot that brought forth the concept of generative AI. But however, we haven't made a significant progress in the field of generative AI until 2014 when generative adversarial network or GAN got introduced. Because GAN kind of showed us that how you can convert a text into a graphical elements. Okay, so if you can type in something based on your thought process, and it will formulate graphics or arts based on your thoughts, which you provided as a text input format. So after the advent of GAN, we kind of fast-paced the progress of generative AI, and that's been going on in last few years. And recently, OpenAI literally made a huge breakthrough by allowing users to use ChatGPT. They're one and only the generative AI platforms in the late 2022. So now the next thing is, now you know what's generative AI. It has not been a new concept. It's been there around the 1960s, but we haven't made a significant progress until in the last decades. So now the next thing is So was it possible, and why we were able to make so much progress recently that was not possible back in 1960s when the ELIZA came out? So the main thing is there are two concepts that kind of like revolutionized this generative AI field and broke the barrier in the evolution. The two concepts are transformers and large language models. So the transformers is actually a same kind of a deep learning model concept where it adopts the mechanism of self-attention, which unlocks the model potential to track the connection between words across the pages, chapters, and books rather than just individual sentence. So what happened, like before in the pre-transformers era, we are not able to generate certain text because model was not capable of self-tuning itself. But with the advent of transformer, it empowers those generative models or like GPT models the capacity so that they could actually embrace, empower themselves, right? They can actually fine-tune themselves, self-improve or something like that. So I'll definitely talk about these transformers more in one of my next vlogs as part of this series. Apart from transformer, there is another concept, large language models, that also change the paradigm of this generative AI. And GPT is one of the large language models that kind of shows that how you can interject millions of billions of parameters to train the model so that the model would be very robust and provide accurate information. We already witnessed that how GPT-4 has 10x more parameters than GPT 3.5. Okay, so you already saw that, I think if my information is correct, I think GPT-4 has like 175 trillion parameters as opposed to 175 billion parameters that GPT 3.5 had. So you understand that those models are so strong and powerful that because they're trained with so many parameters, so they know so many different use cases and provide information accordingly. So I shared some of the learning materials or some paper links that you can go through in order to get an understanding of how GPT-4 is way more advanced than GPT 3.5. There are so many use cases have been performed to understand that, and share some of those use cases and their corresponding learning materials in the video captions section. So please check it out when you have time. So that's all for now, because there's a lot to talk about generative AI, but I don't want you to bore with this particular vlog, because this vlog was just to initiate the conversation or initiate the the information sharing as a part of generative AI. But in my next vlog, I will give you more, I would say, technical elements, or give you more technical presentation of how you can implement generative AI to build a potential use case. I already executed a kind of a small series on ChatGPT previously, so I would definitely recommend you to check out that in my YouTube channel. So in one of those vlogs, I gave you a little bit overview of how you can use GPT 3.5 model to build your own web app. But here for this generative AI, I'll give you more specific introduction on the underlying concept. Like I'll show you that how you can use generative adversarial network, or GAN, to transform a text into their corresponding graphical elements or visual arts. And I'll also show you that how you can, what's the underlying architecture or the concept of transformers and large language models that help this generative AI field to progress further, especially in the recent days. So keep following my channel. Please don't forget to like, comment, and share. And please write down your comments, your thought process in the comment section. If you would like me to share, cover some other generative AI topics in my forthcoming blogs, please feel free to let me know.